You are watching On the Move with Lady Kate, presenting Great Women 2018. The United Nations this year calls on women to press for progress, and progress means to be successful. With me in the studio today, I'm so honored to introduce a dynamic woman from Cameroon. She currently resides in Delaware. She is the brain and the author behind this beautiful book right here, Cultural Awareness, a strategy that can influence your journey to success. Welcome, Dr. Eunice Gwanmesia. How are you?
I'm blessed. Thank you, Lady Kate. And thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming.
I also like to thank you for empowering women and for making a difference, especially in the lives of young women.
Thank you
I am
so
proud
much.
to be a part of your community.
I am humbled.
Thank you. I strongly believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and together we can move mountains.
That's right. We are together, sister to sister, woman to woman, empowering one another. Yeah. Dr. Eunice, your profile is so powerful. I don't know where to start.
Thank you.
First of all, you are a nurse just like myself. Nurses, shout out to all the nurses out there. And you are from Cameroon. Bravo, Cameroon. Yes. And you have written this beautiful book. It's so powerful. It really empowers, the reader to be successful. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? Growing up in Cameroon, did you think you would ever write a book?
Absolutely not. That's a great question. Okay. I never thought I would write a book. It was never in my radar.
Right.
However, I am from Seoul, and I am the first out of 6 children. Mm-hmm. So when I finished school, my dad was a teacher for 50 years. Yes. And obviously when I finished high school, I wanted to go to the university, of course, to become a teacher just like my father. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I made some wrong decisions while in high school. Right. I never liked French. And of course, the university back home courses are taught in French. Mm-hmm. So I struggled for 2 years and eventually failed out of the University of Yaoundé. So you can only imagine how devastated I was. Oh. Here am I feeling hopeless, having a pity party with myself because a teacher's child in my culture should not fail out of school. However, I was blessed with the parents that I have because they were able to figure out a way for me to continue my education. Mm-hmm. And one day my mother called me and said, "You need to come home. Your dad and I have something to discuss with you." Right. So I went, and they presented this situation where I would have to go to Canada to study dental therapy. I was not one who thought my parents could afford an education for us overseas. But my parents had actually sold a piece of property with some cattle to be able to afford education for me in Canada. So 2 months after this conversation, I ended up in Saskatoon. Here are trees. Never thought in the white man's country you would see trees.
I know.
But here I was in the middle of trees, so I guess it is normal. Yeah. And I felt a little better seeing that after I landed in Saskatoon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you went to Canada and you studied dental therapy.
Yes, I did.
And you worked for a while. And how did you end up in the greatest nation in the world, United States?
United States. Land of the dreams, right? Absolutely. Yeah. I had a diploma in dental therapy. Okay. I was not satisfied with just having a diploma. Right. So I decided I wanted more for myself, so I moved to the United States of America.
Wonderful. So to pursue further education and the American dream?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yes. But before I moved to the United States, I was working in Rankin Inlet in the Northwest Territories of Canada, providing dental care to Native Canadian children because they had such poor dental health. But I could not stand the frigid temperatures below 50.
It's cold out there, freezing.
Very cold, very cold. And, all the bears running around, frozen legs and everything. But I was not able to put up with more years of that. So I decided I needed more for myself. And I moved to the United States. But then I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do besides going to dental school. However, when I did my investigation into the application process, I could not come up with the money to go to dental school because I could not work while going to school.
Right.
So my boyfriend back then, now my husband, decided I needed to go into nursing or suggested I go into nursing. But I didn't know anything about nursing.
Right.
It was never a plan for me to become a nurse. So what I did was I said, you know what, let me try the nursing assistant program and see if I like it before I enroll in nursing school. So I did and successfully completed that and just loved it.
Right.
And hence after that, I did enroll in nursing program.
That's good. And the journey continued. You became a CNA, became a nurse, and that was still not enough for our Dr. Eunice. She has to take it all the way to the top. So you enrolled in a PhD program.
Yes.
Right. Where did you study for your PhD?
I actually, before the PhD, I had to have a master's degree.
A master's degree.
So I did a dual master's degree, a Master of Science in Nursing and a Master of Science in Healthcare Administration at Wilmington University.
Right.
And after that, I would earn a job at Delaware State University, my alma mater, teaching in the nursing program. But I still was not satisfied again.
Wow.
And one of my mentors, Dr. Wilson, may her soul rest in peace, said to me, you need to take your black behind back to school. That's exactly how she said it.
This was after your master's.
This was after my master's.
She said, don't stop there.
To take myself back to school, which I did. And soon after that, she would pass. So she didn't have the opportunity to see me become a doctor.
May her soul rest in peace.
May her soul rest in peace, absolutely. So I did. And the journey continued with roadblocks and challenges. But like I said earlier, you know, when you have a problem, you have to look at yourself in the mirror.
That's right.
Is what my parents have always taught us, and decide you're going to be the solution to that problem. So I kept going, and in the midst of my doctoral program, I faced some challenges. When I took a break, I decided I was going to take my pen to paper and start writing, and that's how the creation of this book started. So I did that, and when I defended, I said this book will be released soon after I graduate, and it did. October 17, 2017. Is when it went out, and I graduated August 12, walked across that stage and obtained my PhD in nursing.
Congratulations, and that's why we have Dr. Eunice Gwanmesia right here with us. And if I may, you know, just share a little quote in this book, which says, if you have a problem, take a look at yourself in the mirror. The solution to that problem starts with you and no one else. Amen. I think that's very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this book is, you know, a chronicle of a journey that you have actually experienced. Yes. Living in America, you know, you came from Cameroon, a completely different culture, and how you have overcome so many challenges to be the successful woman that you are today. There are some secrets in this book that we can share. I know you talk about the 5 P's. What are the 5 P's?
Thank you for that question. The 5 P's are my essential principles that I have really lived by. And the 5 P's are your purpose, your patience, your passion, your persistence, and your perseverance. Why the purpose? Because we all live for a reason. We're all born with unique skills and talents. But your purpose is what keeps you going on a daily basis. It's that thing that one of my mentors once said, it'll make you go through a brick wall without even thinking twice. But in the midst of that, you got to exercise patience, because whatever you want, if you want success, it is not a get-quick-rich scheme. It doesn't come overnight.
You got to work for it.
It's hard work. It takes hard work. So you got to keep working at it. From a nursing perspective, we talk about the nursing process. When you do something and it doesn't work, you have to go back and evaluate it and then re-implement new strategies to help to get you to that outcome. So your persistence, you have to persevere through the storms. It's like coming into a storm and of a sudden, you just stop. What's going to happen? You get swept away, right? But if you keep going, you're going to come through the storm, and hopefully you'll get your into limelight with that. So through all my struggles, my 7 pregnancies, and I have 2 beautiful children. Just before I was completing my master's, I lost a child, 10 pounds, 11 ounces, stillbirth. But I was crying and grieving. But I thought, you know, I had 2 more courses left to graduate with my master's. And I said, why stop now? Giving up means I'm accepting failure as the norm.
Right.
Because winners do not quit. So I did not see myself quitting at that point.
Right.
So I decided to re-enroll and finish the program and got my 2 master's degrees. But thankfully, the child that at the time I had was told he would never ever walk, let alone crawl.
Wow.
But today he's walking with crutches.
God is good.
A believer,
Yes.
and he is going to graduate on June 2nd
Wow.
from high school.
That's awesome.
So it's all about having faith and believing in yourself. And like Jim Rohn always says, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
That's right. Wow, that's awesome. You talk a lot about cultural awareness. And as a nurse, I'm a nurse and you are a nurse, we know how diverse the healthcare system is. You know, I'm a nurse in DC. The workforce there's a lot of people from all over the world. And, you know, as nurses giving care to patients, you also come across patients from all over the world. So cultural awareness is such an important issue. Absolutely. For example, you may see, you may be talking to an African and they're looking down just because you're a senior person to them. And they're looking down. You might think, as an American, you might think that they're being disrespectful.
Absolutely.
But that's actually part of the African culture. It's respectful that when you're talking to someone more senior than you, you don't look them in the eye.
Yes.
But for American, looking in the eye, it means honesty. So that cultural awareness is so important. And do you plan on giving talks, you know, and around the country? Because I see a lot of wealth in this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's good you asked that question.
Yeah.
Why I became so in depth with cultural awareness and cultural competency is because I've had to prove myself along the way.
Right.
Coming from Africa with an accent, being a woman, and then an African American or Black woman. When I first came to Delaware, and I got a job, I was talking to a friend, and she said, well, you cannot apply to that hospital because they will never take you because they're racist. I said, well, then that's the more reason why I have to apply in that hospital, because I have the credentials to get the job.
You're qualified.
Qualified, yes. And while I ended up getting the job, applied a week later, I was interviewed and got the job, worked for that particular organization for 15 years.
Wow.
But what I took away from that organization is this. One of my best friends right now was an LPN when I was a CNA.
Right.
And she would say, what? Each time I spoke. Or roll her eyes when she was talking to me. And one day I said, you know what? This is a teachable moment.
Right.
I pulled her into the break room and I said to her, Miss Such and Such, please do not talk to me the way you talk to me.
Right.
You have a perception about my accent, but you fail to realize you also have an accent.
Right.
We are different, but we're yet very similar. The same blood that runs through your system runs through my system.
Right.
So why don't we just get along? We're here for that patient. So please, let's watch how you talk to me. And fortunately, she never even realized she was doing that.
Right.
So it was good that I spoke up because it helped both of us realize that we had some cultural differences, but yet we were similar. We're just all human beings.
That's right.
And from that day forward, she's been one of my best friends.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we must never, you know, we must never stop to seize the opportunity to educate, because I believe that the world is now a global village. You know, people are coming together from all over the world, and we have to interact. It's about respecting each other.
Respecting each other and your patients, because the journey of cultural competency is a long process.
It is.
You have to start with you. You have to look into yourself and forget about the ethnocentrism.
Yeah.
Do you have the desire or the interest to want to know about somebody else's culture?
Right.
Do you want to understand why a Jehovah's Witness patient does not want blood products? When you start to do that, then you have that deep desire.
Yeah.
You know, there's a theorist called Campin Habakot who says becoming cultural competence is that long journey.
Right.
But that desire has to be there. And she talks about a volcano erupting.
Right.
That volcano erupts when you decide that you want to know about other people, putting yourself in other people's shoe to go through that process, because you will have patients from all walks of life.
Wow.
And as a nurse, you have got to be, like you say,
that's right.
It's global.
It's
people from all walks of life, different languages. But that is what makes it interesting. Because you might be that one person that's in a Jehovah's Witnesses room who is dying, and you're the one to hold their hand. You have to do it with love and with passion.
With passion.
Absolutely.
That's great. So this book is available on Amazon.com. You also have a website, right?
Yes, I do.
What's your website?
The website is www.eunicegwanmesia.com. It's EUNICEGWANMESIA.com.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you have a last word to share with our audience?
Obviously.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity, Lady Kate. What I will say is, you know, this book, I wrote it, I call it a quasi-memoir of myself. And my hope is to inspire you, encourage you, and empower you to become who you are destined to be. Because you were born with a unique talent. Do not go to your grave with your talent. Make a difference, change someone else's life. So join me on a journey. We can empower you through Dr. Eunice Consulting to rediscover yourself. And I'll borrow the words of Michelangelo, who said, in every block of stone, there is a statue in it. It is the work of the sculptor to discover that statue. So I like to say that I'm a breathtaking piece of artwork, and so are you. Just believe in yourself, because whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So just go do it. You are great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And you are great, Dr. Eunice Gwanmesia. That's why we honor you. We celebrate you.
Thank you.
This year, coming up to International Women's Day, you are a great woman.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for watching. On the Move with Lady Kate. Please stay tuned for more great women.
Mama ko, mama sa, 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 mama ko sa.